Yeosu Korea, the host of the 2012 World Expo. The Interview has come to this beautiful marine city to meet another exciting guest.
Hello everyone, I'm Susan McDonald and welcome back to The Interview. I'm here at Expo 2012 Yeosu Korea, ready to meet a very special guest. Come on in and join me.
Dennis Hong is called the Da Vinci of robotics. Dennis Hong is a professor at Virginia Tech, a world-renowned robotics engineer, and the first ever Korean to give a TED Talk. He was praised by media all over the world for developing a car that can be driven by drivers with impaired vision. Dr. Hong was also noted as one of the 10 young geniuses shaking up science today by Popular Science. And on July 10, 2011, his Charlie 2 robot brought the U.S. its first victory in the International RoboCup, a humanoid robot soccer game. He is leading the way in building humanoid robots that can help people lead better lives. Recently, his robots were displayed at the DSME Marine Robot Pavilion at the World Expo in Yeosu. The two-legged talking robot Charlie and Darwin, a robot that can pass and shoot a soccer ball, made the pavilion the most popular part of the expo. Dennis Hong, a mentor to aspiring robotics engineers and a leader of innovation and change. Join me, Susan McDonald, and hear his stories of human and humanoid success on this week's The Interview.
Hi, Dennis. Yes, hi.
Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too.
Yeah, welcome to the World Expo.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to seeing your exhibit. And oh my gosh, this huge marine robot pavilion.
This is the Robotics Pavilion, the famous one.
Wow. I hear that people are standing in line. Like, look, already people are just lined up.
It hasn't opened yet, but people wait for 3-5 hours just to see our robots.
Wow. And you've given me the special privilege to go see
You're
it
the only
early.
one's going to be here in the morning.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. Wow. Well, what are you going to show me today?
We got a lot of things. We're going to show you the United States' very first full-size autonomous robot,
Wow.
Charlie.
Okay.
You know about Darwin?
Yes,
Darwin,
yes.
His Hydrus, Strider, all the robots are here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So when can we go in and see?
Shall we?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Wow.
This is it. This is the Robotics Pavilion.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, and a special invitation from you.
And that's why it's pretty empty. Normally
Yeah.
it's packed with people, but it's too early in the morning.
Fantastic. And I see someone over there.
That is Charlie. You recognize him?
Yes.
Yeah, so Charlie is considered the United States' very first full-size humanoid robot, and it's fully autonomous. So
Wow.
it thinks by itself using artificial intelligence.
Wow, so AI in action. Now,
Absolutely.
are we looking at the next Terminator?
No, we'll talk about more about that.
Okay,
But robots
good.
we're developing robot technology to help people.
Okay.
All of that is a sci-fi.
Okay, so it's to
Yeah.
save lives and help people?
Yep.
Awesome.
Let's see. Let's wake you up. Hey, Charlie.
Oh, look at him. Oh, that is incredible.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
He's,
Oh, and he's giving us a salute.
Hey.
Wow.
Nice boy. Charlie is a fully autonomous robot, and he can actually have a conversation with you.
Really?
Would you like
Oh.
to talk
I would love to talk to Charlie.
Charlie? Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. So just slowly speak into the microphone.
Okay.
Let's go a little bit closer to Charlie so you
Okay.
can see him.
Let's take a look.
He
Oh,
wants
he's,
to- yeah.
he's such a cutie. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Susan.
Oh, he responded.
And he even knows your name.
Oh, you know
we
my name.
pre-programmed your name,
Oh,
so
you
it's,
did?
it's
Oh,
not
okay.
magic.
So Charlie, you're from Virginia Tech. What are you doing here in Yeosu?
I have been waiting for you guys for the Interviewer Irene TV program.
Oh.
What took you so long? My batteries are running out.
Normally it lasts for about 30 minutes, but I think he's been standing.
Yeah, you've been
waiting
really
for-
tired. Well, so how are you feeling?
I am exhausted. We get more than 10,000 visitors a day. Everyone wants to meet me.
He's pretty popular. I guess.
Yeah, you know, you're a pretty popular guy. Do you have a girlfriend?
Do you have a boyfriend?
A proposal from a robot, that's the
I
first
think Charlie
thing.
likes you.
Aw, well,
Love at first sight.
I like you too, Charlie.
So Charlie, as I mentioned, is a fully autonomous robot. So
Wow.
actually for the Expo, for this display demonstration,
Yes.
we're actually remote controlling because we don't want something bad to happen.
Yeah.
But normally you see that camera in the head, so
Yes,
it looks
I
around.
see. Like he's looking at us.
It looks around and tries to identify the environment, and it builds a world model, his understanding of
Okay.
the world. And based on that, if you give him a task, he can
Yes.
carry out fully autonomously.
Wow.
Yeah?
So what kind of things can a robot like this do in real life?
Yeah, so this one is for general research and education, but what we're trying to really accomplish is a humanoid robot is a general robot that can be used for many things. For example, we robotists normally say for the 3Ds,
Yes.
dull, dirty, dangerous. Things that's
Okay.
dull that we don't want to do, dangerous, or those kind of repetitive tasks that we don't want to do,
Yes.
we give it to robots.
Huh.
So at home,
Yeah.
doing the dishes,
Doing my laundry.
taking out the
Cleaning the
trash.
floor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Those, yes, but normally these days we're focusing on really important task of saving people's lives.
Like-
I'll tell you more about firefighting robots, disaster
amazing.
relief robots, and those kind of things.
It's amazing the kind of things that robots can do that people may not be able to do because we would be in danger. So
Yep.
this is something that you're helping to do to help save lives.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Fantastic. Wow. Well, Charlie, it's nice to meet you.
Thanks, Charlie.
We'll see you later.
So these are some of the static displays. These are just for a show.
Okay.
But it shows some of our other robots. So these are some of the early prototypes of Charlie's leg.
Okay, I
and we're,
see, wow.
Yeah, we're trying to implement new type of technology. Again, you have to understand that these are research robots.
Yes.
So we're trying to use different type of technology. This one uses a linear actuator that moves, extends, and contracts just like a human muscle.
Like a muscle.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
And I see something that I kind of recognize from
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of
yeah,
your
yeah,
videos.
yeah, exactly.
These are hydras.
Yeah, hydras. So hydras is actually a family of snake robots.
Oh, wow.
So normally, when you think about snake robots, snakes, they sit on the ground.
Sure.
This is not a robot that sits on the ground. This is actually a robot for climbing structures.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So it would climb what? Around?
Yeah, you've probably seen some of the things.
Yes.
So every year, hundreds of workers get killed from falling off from a construction site scaffolding.
Horrible, yeah.
So we want to use robots to, whenever there's a dangerous situation, we send in the robots. So the robot actually wraps around the structure and converts the oscillating motion of the joint to a whole body rolling motion. So actually climbs by rolling up the pole.
Wow. So this basically helps to save people's lives. Like
Exactly.
for people who may not have to go up anymore, this would replace it,
Yeah,
right?
farm.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I see something that I recognize again.
Yes.
Over here is
This is the famous Strider.
Strider. Oh my gosh.
So Strider stands for Self-Excited Tripedal Dynamic Experimental Robot.
I
By the
love
way,
these names.
all of our robots have
Hydra,
acronyms.
Strider.
Charlie is also Cognitive Humanoid Autonomous Robot Learning Intelligence. All of them have acronyms. Strider is a three-legged robot, tripedal robot.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is, this is inspired from biology, inspired by nature, from animal motion.
I don't know any animal that has 3 legs, though.
Yeah, I've seen a dog with, well, that's a different story.
yeah.
But that's true. But the principles of how it walks is based on human walking.
Okay.
So this is a good example
How's
of
that?
biological inspiration. Bio-inspired robot is not simply copying from nature, but rather getting inspired by nature.
Okay.
And we study the principles of biology and apply the principles to the robotics.
Okay.
In such case, the end product of the robot does not necessarily look like its counterpart in biology
Okay.
because we're just using the principle. This one actually swings its body 180 degrees and using its middle leg, it swings between the leg and catches a fall and stands up again. It converts its potential energy to kinetic energy over falling and standing up again. And for the leg, it simply swings like a pendulum.
Yes.
Instead of just moving like a robot, but it swings its leg, and the mechanics is very, very similar to how we humans walk with 2 legs.
And then I see this little guy over here.
Yes, this is retired. This is called MARS,
Okay.
Multi-Appendage Robotic System. It's a 6-leg robot. It's a hexapod robot. We actually developed this robot together with NASA JPL.
Oh, wow.
You probably know JPL. They're famous for the Mars rovers.
Yes,
This robot, even though it has 6 legs, it's developed for zero gravity in space
How is
applications.
that possible?
Does it make
And
sense?
doesn't fly away.
Yeah, I mean, zero gravity walking doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What it is, it's supposed to be outside the space station or the space shuttle
Okay.
as we're walking outside in space
Okay.
for autonomous inspection tasks. But the question is, how do you make it walk with there's no gravity?
Yeah.
How would you make it stick?
Well, I was thinking maybe magnets.
Magnets, fantastic idea if you have ferrous material like steel, but most of the parts are aluminum, titanium, or even ceramic, so it can't stick.
I see.
What about suction cups?
would it even have the
No,
air to do that?
there's no air, so it won't
Yeah.
torque. So what we're trying to do is we're using artificial gecko feet. So, geckos, they
Oh,
stick.
yeah.
So that's another, exactly.
Yeah.
Another good example of bio-inspired robotics.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're working with other researchers who are working on not sticky feet, but these are gecko feet. There's a whole interesting science behind that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but using those for robotics applications.
You know, Dennis, it's amazing to see all these different types of robots, and I know everyone is here also to see not only Charlie, but
yeah. Darwin,
Darwin,
yeah,
yes.
everybody loves Darwin.
Soccer.
Yeah, it's so adorable. But Darwin is not a toy, it's a very serious research tool.
Yeah.
Want to take a look at
Absolutely.
it? Shall
Let's
we?
go.
Let's go, yeah.
Where are we
So
going now?
this is the soccer field for Darwin OPs. Aren't they cute?
Oh my gosh, they're so adorable. Look
So
at them.
yeah, Darwin robots are for general research and education. So we have 6 robots, 6
Okay.
against 6. And then as you'll see, they have a camera on the head. So they look around and try
I
to
see.
understand the environment. They look at the white lines and try to figure out where himself or herself is in the soccer field. We call that localization.
Gotcha.
It uses also color to help them so they can identify the ball, other opponents' teams and robots' motion. The goal one is yellow and blue.
Okay.
And they understand the game of soccer, the rules. So they try to do cooperative team play as well.
That is so adorable.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
they're
gosh.
looking around, trying to find their starting position.
They're just looking around.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they have a personality. Look at their faces. They're looking around, figure out, oh, where am I? Where's the goal? Am I supposed to be here? And those kind of things.
And so they know that they're here to play soccer.
Yep,
right?
that's their job. See that they found the ball,
Yep.
and he's gonna make a kick. Then
Oh, almost.
almost there.
Ah. He kicked it,
Yeah.
and it actually went over there.
Yep. So
And now these other guys, they're all looking for the ball, right?
not only that, but they also communicate using Wi-Fi. So one interesting thing is, let's say a robot cannot see where the ball is. The other team can share that information. Oh, they fall down a lot too, right?
But it's amazing how they know how to get back up. It's like little kids, like maybe 3, 4-year-old kids.
Oh, you're gonna go!
Oh,
Go!
he's
Go!
yeah. Yeah, the pink team, yes. So this is-
Yay. Yeah. But you have to understand that this is very sophisticated technology. It's not
Yeah.
just fun and games. We're not doing this just for the fun. This is really a research, like a very difficult, challenging research task.
So what can Darwin do?
Yeah. So this is just a demonstration of some of the technology. And actually this robot soccer is a fantastic way to do benchmarking.
I
The
see.
competition, teams from all around the world, from all the different robotics labs, come to this
Almost.
competition and demonstrate their technology, exchange information. So it's a fantastic ways of doing benchmarking.
Okay.
But Darn is a general research and education robot. Currently about 400 units are being used worldwide. We announced it only about a year ago.
Really?
Yeah, and it's so popular.
How much would something like this cost?
So cost, interesting thing is, it is a product that you can buy, but that's not
Really?
the point. The interesting thing is it's a fully open source project, which means that
Gotcha.
all the hardware, software, everything is online for free. So people,
if I wanted to make Darwin,
Yes.
and I had the tools and the smarts
all
to do
the
it,
instructions, what to buy, how to fabricate them, how to
Wow.
assemble them, all the software, everything is online for free.
Incredible.
I'm not making a dime out of it. So if I were smart, probably I should, But anyway, that's not the point. The whole idea is by opening it up, everybody can benefit from it. I
Yes.
truly believe that's the quickest way to develop robotics technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, to keep that technology just to yourself would limit, other ideas from coming in, right? So this is a very ingenious way of doing things. He kicked it,
there you
but
go.
he kicked it out. Ah. Dennis, I can see why you absolutely love your job. That was so much fun being there.
My job is actually not a job, it's actually my hobby. I'll do the exact same thing even though I don't get paid, but probably shouldn't say that in front of the cameras. But yeah, it's my hobby. It's so much fun.
I'm so amazed that someone like yourself who's followed your passion has created such an incredible series of robots. Can you tell me a little bit more about just the inspiration that you have for doing what you do?
Okay, so maybe I think it's we should start by how I got into robotics. So when I was a kid, when I was 7 years old, by the way, I was born in the States.
Okay.
And all of my family moved to Korea when I was 3 years old, and I grew up
Interesting.
in Korea.
And why did you guys move back to Korea?
My dad is a scientist and engineer in the aerospace. During the President Park Chung-hee
Yes.
era, there were some special military-related big projects, and the president wanted my dad to head the project, so we had to move to Korea.
Okay.
So actually, when I was living in Korea, I was in a foreigner status.
I
so
see.
at the time, the 해외 여행 자유화 was not there, so normally Korean people couldn't really travel freely to overseas, but I could. So we travel a lot, and my mom and dad really encouraged us traveling, because travel is not just for entertainment, as living education, they always told me. But anyway, so when I was 7 years old, I watched the movie Star Wars, the first one, episode 4.
I love that movie, Star Wars.
It actually just completely blew my mind with all the flying spaceships and the robots. But I was really, really fascinated by the two famous robots, R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Well, I wasn't naked for long. Anyway.
I was just fascinated. So that very day, on my way back to my home, to the hotel, in the car, I decided to become a robot scientist, and I never changed my mind, and I'm here today.
Who knew that George Lucas's dream and that Star Wars would become your life?
It's my life, it's my passion, and I'm living it.
That's incredible. So if you hadn't seen Star Wars, where do you think you'd be right now?
So I do tell people, which is true, that I decided to become a robot scientist when I was 7 years old. I never changed my mind. That is true. However, besides robotics, I also had other dreams as well. So one is I wanted to become a professional magician. Another one.
Here you're a semi-professional magician.
Yes, I'll talk about it in a minute. The second one is I wanted to become a chef. Owner of a restaurant, a chef. And the third is a amusement park ride designer.
Okay.
And of course a robot. So I had 4 dreams.
Wow.
But the interesting thing is you really never know among your dreams what is going to be your occupation, your job. So I follow all 4 of my dreams. Currently, I'm living that dream of being a roboticist. But I had never gave up the other 3 as well.
So you still cook?
I still cook. So at my home, I'm the chef. I cook every day. So when I have time, I go to the farmer's market and buy whatever's fresh. And I like improvising at home, cooking fantastic meals. I bring friends and family over, have like 6-7 course degustation menus. If you go to my website, you can see the menus as well.
Well, you know, I'm from Virginia, so next time I'm in Virginia, are you going to invite
come
me over?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll see how good your food is.
Yep. So, so it's a serious hobby. As a matter of fact, you never know, if I retire, I might open my own restaurant. So I have never given up my dream. The second dream of being a magician, so I started magic when I was a small kid, when I was in elementary school. I lived in Korea. So at that time, magic was relatively new to Korea. So my dad bought me those, you know, those toy magic kit kind of things.
Yes.
And, you know, the cheesy kind of thing. And I showed it to my friends, and everybody was like, oh, this is absolutely amazing. So after that.
You became like the star of your friends.
Yeah. So my dad bought me more stuff, and I become really serious. So I start studying the theory of magic, close-up magic, and stage magic as well.
So like David Copperfield, Houdini. And,
yeah, those kind of things, not to that
not
scale.
to that level.
But I was a small kid, and my sister together, we did magic, and 2 cute kids doing magic stuff. So we became popular. We were on TV twice.
Oh, wow.
We've been on stages. We go to the houses for old people's house and the orphanages, and we do those kind of magic shows for people.
Oh, how sweet.
So it was fun. Now, of course, when I was a kid, everything worked out. But now now as a professor, I can't really do a magic show.
Yeah.
So these days, I do a 2-hour lecture on the science and psychology behind magic.
Interesting.
Yeah, but actually, it's really a magic show in disguise as a lecture. But we do that, and we actually sell tickets as for charity events. And in a few hours, all the tickets are sold out. It's very popular. Yeah. So magician. A chef. Oh, the third one, a theme park, amusement park designer. So I haven't given up that dream. And as a matter of fact, in Korea, there's a big project called the Masan Robot Land. They're building a huge amusement park with a theme of robotics. I'm a big part of that, so I'm still living all 4 of my dreams.
That's incredible, Dennis. You know, you said that you're a magician, and surely in the eyes of many people with your robotics work, you are a magician. I mean, that's kind of a loose interpretation, but kids look up to you like crazy here. And every child's dream is to talk to someone who makes robots and to talk to the robots themselves, like I just did earlier today.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
So something weird happened about like 2 years ago. So my work has been very, very well known and well received in the academic and the robotics community. But I think about 2 years ago, there was some, you know, our robots became famous in covers of magazines and TV programs. And after that TED conference talk, my popularity just grew, like exploded. And I become I don't know, famous,
You have become famous.
for the general public, especially in Korea. So these days I walk in Myeongdong, people recognize me, they ask for autographs, and people want to take a picture with me. So yeah, it's kind of what should I say, weird, odd, but at the same time it makes you feel good at the same time. But I'm always on my feet, put my feet on the ground and trying to shrink my head as well.
Dennis, it sounds like you are the multitasking magician. How do you get all of this done in one day? Tell me your like morning to night schedule.
Okay, so there's only 24 hours a day, and there's too much stuff to do. So the only part that I can cut is sleep. So actually, I sleep only 4 hours at night.
What? 4 hours a night?
4 hours at night. But I'll probably tell you the story. So at 5 to 6 p.m., I go home. And I cook every day, so I cook dinner, have good quality time at home, and we go to bed. And then once my wife, falls asleep, I sneak out and I go back to my lab. My students are already there, so we work and do research and things. About like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock a.m., I come back, I sleep, and we wake up together in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And then I come back to the lab. Now my
she knows that
she
you
knows.
go out. Okay.
I'm not sneaking out actually.
all
I got
right.
a
So this is
official
not like-
no,
you're not
no,
gonna
it's
get in
not like
trouble.
that. But I mean, she doesn't. It's okay because she's asleep anyway. So she said it was okay. So I got official permission.
Okay.
But after lunch, I do have to take a 10 to 15 minute nap. If I don't get that nap, then I'm a zombie for the entire afternoon.
I see.
But the interesting thing is that nap time, so after lunch, I come to I lock the door and I have this recliner, and then I instantly fall asleep. And after 10 to 15 minutes, I don't even need an alarm clock. I just pop up, wake up, and I'm ready to go. I'm fully energy, recharged, and I can do that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
You know, what's really amazing to me is that someone like you yourself, who has so much passion for what he does, is actually living the dream.
I am living my dream, yes.
I mean, what do you say to that? Like, do you wake up in the morning after 4 hours of sleep saying, thank you, God, that I can only do what, only people dream of?
I challenge you to try to find me when I'm not smiling. I'm smiling 24 hours a day. Probably I'm smiling even when I'm sleeping. It's fun, it's rewarding. I'm passionate about what I do. Just being I live on campus because I'm a professor. Just the sheer energy of the students, the sparkling eyes. I'm blessed of working and living in an environment just filled with energy, young energy and passion, and the brightest minds working together. It's great.
Now, you are a professor at Virginia Tech.
Yes.
So let's walk through your childhood and your academic background and how you got to Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Before we go on to some other stuff. So tell me about school. So you were born here. You went to Korea. You went to all of your elementary, junior high, high school, and beginning of college in Korea. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I went to 경희 유치원,
Okay.
반포 초등학교, 방배 중학교, 서울고등학교, and I went to 고려대학교, Korea University. But after my second year, I transferred to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I came back to the States.
So why did you transfer at that time?
So for many reasons, but mainly my dad told me. So I was planning to come back to the States for my graduate school, but it might be. I thought that it might be good to go there early to prepare early, and I was trying to considering and thinking. And my dad one day told me, 큰 물고기는 큰 물에서 놀아야 한다. A big fish must swim in the big sea. So they said, go ahead. So that's why I went back. And then for my master's and PhD, I went to Purdue University.
Yes.
To become a professor, normally you have to do a postdoc, you need additional academic or training.
Yes.
But right after I finished my PhD, I was directly recruited at Virginia Tech.
Now, why did they recruit you right out of Purdue?
They were smart. I don't know. So
Obviously. Look at the press that you're bringing them.
I think they saw the potential in me. My research, my PhD work dissertation was all good, but I think during the phone interview, I really showed passion, and I really was able to show what my dream was, and I think that actually went through, and they actually I convinced them.
Yes. So now, of those awesome schools that do robotics, what differentiates your program at Virginia Tech?
Okay, so many things, but probably the most important thing that stands out is there are absolutely great labs in the world in robotics that do fantastic work, but they usually focus on one thing. They're an expert in robot vision, expert in dynamics and control. They're expert in specific areas in robotics. Our lab builds the entire system. We build the entire robot.
Okay.
Charlie,
Yes.
entire thing. Darwin, Strider, all those kind of things.
So it's not just one part, it's the entire machine.
Entire thing.
Okay.
So also we do build hardware. A lot of work, labs do fantastic work, but they only do simulation or theoretical work, published paper. In my experience as a graduate student, you study these fantastic journal papers and you try to implement it in real hardware and it doesn't work. Because, not because they were wrong, but because they make these certain assumptions, which is not based on real reality.
Okay.
So especially for robotics, unless you really implement and try it, you really don't know the true impact of the work.
Yep.
So in an early stage, I believe that building on hardware is very important for it. So we build robots not because it's just exciting and fun. It is fun and exciting, but really build it to validate our research work.
I see.
So our
So
lab
it's like
is
from start to finish, you get to see the entire process.
exactly.
Right.
So we're very well known for building robots. Now, so that's another special skill set that we have. It's our expertise. Robotics is a very wide field. From one end of the spectrum, where the mechanical work of design, kinematics, and those kind of things. The other end of the spectrum, more of the computer science of artificial intelligence and everything between mechatronics, sensors, electronics, everything. So unless you know everything, you cannot build the entire system.
Yes.
But obviously, you cannot be an expert on all the things.
Yep.
Thus, collaboration is important. So personally, my real background is in mechanical engineering, kinematics, and those kind of things. But I have enough knowledge of all the aspects. I'm not an expert on all the things, but I know enough so I can.
So you're a generalist in these other areas, and you
Yes.
bring in the experts and the
Yes,
expertise.
I collaborate, and I'm a fantastic system integrator because I know what works, what doesn't work,
Yes.
how they work together. So I'm an expert on that.
That's
so I
fantastic.
work with other professors in different areas, and we build the entire system. But I have to, make it clear that building the robot is not the end goal. Even though people just see the robot, the
Really?
fun, you see
Okay.
Charlie moving. That's not really the end goal.
Really?
Those
Then what
robots
is?
the robots are just to test and validate our research work.
I see.
So our job is to really generate new knowledge that people can use, other research can use, and base their research based on that. So that's what we're trying to do. But also, more important than that, do you know the real product of our lab is?
Tell
It's
me.
not the robots, it's not the robotics technology, it's not the publications.
Okay.
My belief is that our product is our students. We're producing the top brilliant minds in robotics that they're going to carry our mission and they're going to do the great job.
You've been talking about some of the technology that your robotics has really done, and I want to go through some of those really important things
Sure,
that you've done.
sure.
Tell us about Impasse.
Oh, Impasse. So Impasse is a robot. It's a unique locomotion mobility robot. So it's a best of both worlds of wheels and legs.
Okay.
So it's a wheel-leg hybrid robot.
All right.
So think of a rimless wheel. So the rim is not there. It's just a spoked wheel of the wheel, but the spokes move in and out of the hub. So it can roll like a wheel if you want
Yes.
to, or move the spokes in and out and use them as legs.
Okay.
So it can go over very rough terrain. It can climb very, very big obstacles. And the main application area, so it's really if you want your machine or robot to get someplace that a wheel cannot go, that's
Okay.
where you use.
For example, like where could a wheel not go?
Sure, disaster relief,
Okay.
building collapses, need to go over this kind of things.
I see. So there's an earthquake, a building collapses,
Mm-hmm.
and people can't go in there, but you can send in an Impasse
Yes.
robot to
yes.
go in and
Or scientific exploration in Mars. There's certain areas that regular wheels cannot have access to. That's where you use these new type of mobility system. So
Okay.
that's Impasse. By the way, the name is kind of Impasse means that you cannot pass.
Yes.
But it can pass any environment. So
You've also got Climber.
Climber, yes.
Tell us about Climber.
Climber is a climbing robot. Well, all of the names are acronyms. Impasse
Yes.
stands for Intelligent Mobility Platform Actuated Spoke System. Climber is cable suspended, limbed blah, 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 robot, something like that, but it's been a while. So this is a robot that can climb cliffs autonomously.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so this one actually came from, so I was at a NASA JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory,
Yes.
about 6 years ago. I worked
Okay.
there for the summer. I had a lot of chance to talk to not just the robotic scientists, but the geologists. So these are the scientists who study the Mars soil and try to figure out, try to answer the questions, the fundamental scientific questions. And they've been telling me that the NASA JPL rovers, the Mars, which are still there, are fantastic. But the problem is, they cannot get to the cliffs. And the cliff is where, that's the really science-rich site. They want to get to the cliffs.
Right, there's the geological
history,
there's
history,
right?
yeah. But the robots cannot get there. So inspired by that, I want to build a robot that can climb the cliff for scientific research, and of course for search and rescue missions as well.
How viable is that right now? Is it in the works? Is it being actualized?
It's an old project. Some of our undergraduate students worked on it. So we had a first prototype that worked, but we didn't get funding for that. So it's currently on the shelf. We have a lot of projects that we started has potential but still on the shelf because we're working on so many other exciting and important projects. One day I would like to resurrect it though.
There's a very amazing project that I know that you were involved with, and that is the car that is drivable by the blind,
by the
visually impaired. Tell us about that.
That's a very different type of project. Actually, it's dear to my heart.
On January 29, 2011, the whole world watched as Professor Dennis Hong revealed the first car for blind drivers. The test driver was Mark Riccobono, an executive with the National Federation of the Blind. He made it through the various obstacles being thrown in his way, as if he could see in front of him. He even passed a van driving alongside him to successfully drive around a 2.4-kilometer track, amazing everyone in the stands. Dennis Hong opened up the possibility of autonomous driving for the blind. How was this possible? The centerpiece of his automobile technology is a non-visual user interface. A drive grip sends vibrations to the knuckles to indicate the movement of the handle. A vibrating motor in the seat called a speed strip adjusts direction and speed. But the highlight is the AirPix, a tablet with many holes that uses compressed air to create an image on the user's hand placed over it. With this project, Dennis Hong broke all preconceptions about the limitations of visual impairment.
We all together we made it happen. Again, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
The technology used for the automobile interface can be applied in various ways to the everyday life of people with visual impairments. Dennis Hong's creativity and passion is fueled by challenges and obstacles. His relentless efforts to make robots that will help humankind are bringing change to the global society every day. The world is watching to see what he will come up with next.
From your lab at Virginia Tech, and which you call it the ROMELA.
ROMELA,
right?
it rolls off your tongue, ROMELA.
ROMELA. What does that stand for?
Robotics and Mechanisms Laboratory.
Okay.
Robotics is because of robotics. Mechanisms because my real background is in the mechanical side of it. So initially we want to focus that, we do robotics, but more on the mechanisms, the mechanical side of it, and laboratory. But as I mentioned, now we cover the entire spectrum of robots, and we do develop the entire system.
So at ROMELA, is that how you say it when you're
ROMELA.
so at ROMELA, you have all these different projects going on, and also you mentioned earlier the DARPA challenge. You've been involved in the DARPA challenge, which has those crazy robots that go across the country and across the deserts. Tell me your involvement in that and what new projects you have coming up.
Sure. So the DARPA challenge, in case you haven't heard, the DARPA is the research wing of the United States Department of Defense. So it's more of those. So the internet was born from the DARPA project. DARPA projects are normally the craziest, wackiest, out of this world science fiction type of big budget projects. So this was in 2007. So the DARPA Urban Challenge was in 2007. Before that, we had the 2 DARPA Grand Challenges. So this is a series of competitions about developing a fully autonomous car. It's a robotics car. So you press start, nobody touches anything, and the car needs to reach its destination without any human intervention. It needs to follow the rules of the road, traffic, intersections, rotaries, park itself, and everything like that.
Wow.
So Virginia Tech participated. So that's about when I first joined Virginia Tech. So I was not a part of the first 2 grand challenges, but I was a co-team leader for the DARPA Urban Challenge, which was the last of 3 series.
And that was in what year?
That was in 2007. So we developed this car. It was fantastic. So maybe, I'll tell you about the story. So we had 46 undergraduate students and 6 graduate students and 3 faculty working on this project. But all my colleagues and friends on different teams from the other universities, they said, yeah, but Dennis, if you really want to win, if you're serious, you cannot do this with undergraduates because it's a very, very challenging task. At the time, people thought it was impossible. It was that difficult.
Yes.
But I really wanted to show the world that with the right resources, guidance, and the support, undergraduate students can achieve great things.
Wow.
I've experienced that. I've demonstrated many, many times for our other projects as well. So we had 40-something undergraduate students working on the team. And of course, we showed them. Everybody remembers the first place and the second place, Carney Mellon Redwoodker's team and Sebastian from Stanford. Not a lot of people remember that we were the 3rd place winners and we won
That's still an incredible honor.
Yes, indeed. So we showed the world that with the undergrad students can do fantastic work.
Wow.
So proud of them.
That's amazing. What is your other project now that you're preparing for with the DARPA Challenge?
Okay, so
Is this an exclusive?
yes. So I haven't talked to. This is the first time I'm mentioning officially.
Okay.
It's called the DARPA Robotics Challenge. You remember not too long ago in Japan the Fukushima Daiichi disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, nuclear plant disaster. Very, very sad. But when that happened. Japan, probably most people think Japan is the #1 country in robotics in the world. So people had this high hopes. Oh, the Honda Asimo, the humanoid robot, all these great robots that they've been demonstrating, they're going to send it in and rescue people and do the disaster relief. And the Japanese people were like, oh, what's going to happen? And at the end, they were not able to send a single robot. Well, some test robots, yes.
Yeah.
And they actually used some of the US robots from called PACBA from iRobot and to do this kind of things. And it was a really shame to the country.
That's too bad.
So DARPA, inspired by that, said, oh, this is a very, very important mission. We are developing a lot of robots, but if you can't really use it for real disasters, what use it is for? So they announced this new challenge called the DARPA Robotics Challenge. Now,
The DARPA Rolex Challenge?
Robotics Challenge.
Robotics Challenge.
Robotics
Okay.
Challenge. The robot needs to get into a car, a regular car,
All right.
needs to drive the car to a mock disaster site,
All right.
it needs to get out of the car, needs to walk on a debris field and clear the debris and obstacles. It needs to open a door, walk in this disaster site. There's going to be a series of system of pipes. It needs to look around and find the leaking pipe. It needs to close the valve of the pipe. It needs to replace a motor.
Wow.
Not done yet. It needs to climb up a ladder, go on a catwalk. At the end, there's going to be a concrete wall, and it used to use these the tools to punch a hole out of the wall and punch through and go through the wall.
Whoa.
That is the competition, and it's going to happen December 2013. The second one is going to be in December 2014.
Wow. So you've got about a year and a half
And
to prepare.
not only that, but so there's a word called DARPA hard. It means that it's ridiculously, insanely difficult. But
DARPA hard?
Yet not impossible.
Okay.
Right? You think it's impossible, it's not really impossible.
Wow.
We call this DARPA hard. So when you go to conference, I talk to different robotists, and I have a lot of friends, and we talk about this. Oh, this is a really exciting project coming up,
Yeah.
but this is beyond DARPA hard.
Wow.
And DARPA is going to select only 5 teams from the entire world. So teams have been, submitting proposals, and offshoot DARPA said that this is the biggest scale, the highest budget DARPA ever funded in a robotics program. So this
Wow.
in the history of robotics is the biggest project.
Did you get to be one of the 5?
I'm not going to mention on camera, but you will hear very, very good and exciting news, and you'll see things.
With all this exciting stuff, with the visually impaired being able to drive a car, and the DARPA Urban Challenge, and the new project that's coming up, you've got so many things that you've done and you can do. We forgot to mention the amazing project with the Southworth Project.
Yeah, Southworth.
And I'd love to hear more about
Sure.
that.
So Southworth Project is for the U.S. Navy. Southworth, again, stands for Shipboard Autonomous Firefighting Robot.
Okay.
So the Navy wants to have a robot that can fight fires on ships.
Wow.
So initially, I wrote a proposal to the Navy, the Office of Naval Research, or ONR, and the proposal was a robot firefighting hose. So the hose itself is a robot. It's a snake robot.
Okay.
So it's similar to the fire.
So is it similar to the Hydra?
Hydras, yes,
Okay.
and then sort of fire, and then props like a cobra and shoots water or whatever form to fight fires. Isn't it brilliant?
Wow, that's
And they
awesome.
really, really liked the idea, and they were about to fund us. But at the time, we made a lot of success with Charlie and Darwin, and we started to get more interested in humanoid robots. So we went back to the Navy and bravely said, well, yeah, the snake robot is a good idea, but would you be interested in a humanoid robot instead? And they were like skeptical. Yeah, but why humanoid robot? So there's a good reason why we want to use humanoid robots for fighting fires on the ships. Now, one thing is that the ship is designed by humans for humans. There's a reason why the stairs are this high. There's a reason why your door handle is this high. So since it's an environment designed for humans to walk around, I claim that unless the robot is the human size and form, it won't be able to get
maneuver
around.
within the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, if you've been to a Navy ship, if you open these door hatches, the door seal is really, really high up to the knee. You call it knee knockers. Wheels or treads cannot go. But humans can, thus a human robot can. Yeah, so that's one good reason. Another thing is a ship, so it has sea state to move up and down the sea. So if you have legs, you can balance yourself, right? Another important thing is it's a firefighting robot, so the robot needs to be protected against the flame and heat. If you have wheels or tank treads, you cannot cover them because they need to be exposed and rotating continuously. Right? If you cover up the wheels, how can you go?
Right.
Humans can withstand the heat by putting on a firefighter suit.
Okay.
So
you'll have a robot with a suit?
Absolutely. If a human can withstand the heat with putting on a suit, if you have a humanoid robot, put in a firefighting suit. Isn't that brilliant? Of course, there's other problems with overheating and those kind of things, but that's the whole idea. And ultimately, the thing is, if this robot is successful in fighting fires, then it will have, in the future, have a very high impact. So the robot is a humanoid form, is a humanoid robot, so it can do all the things that humans do. Mopping the deck, cooking the food, delivering the food, making up your bed, all those kind of things. So we're looking in the future to try to have the Swiss Army knife of robots.
Wonderful.
So that's Project Sapphire.
What do you think is going to be the next step in your helping more people?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, most of our robotics project has a common theme of helping people, helping the society. One project that we have not announced yet is, we talked about the blind driver challenge, car for the blind. So that project is done. And after that, it could be commercialized. Other labs could, further develop on that. But we still want to continue developing technologies for the blind. So one project that we're currently working on to start soon is the blind indoor navigation challenge.
Indoor navigation.
So those GPS, the navigation things?
Yes.
They use GPS, which uses the satellite. So GPS only works outdoors. It does not work indoors.
Yes.
So we're trying to use robotics technology. There's a technology called SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping. It's a technology used for indoor robots to navigate. So hey, why not use that technology and develop devices to help the blind to navigate indoors? So think about it. A blind person using this device can go into a grocery store on their own, independently, freedom, and find the things that they want to buy.
So, I mean, it's not acting instead of a guide dog, like a seeing eye dog. It actually helps maybe to pick out items that they might actually
But that's the plan, yeah.
Wow.
So,
and how realistic do you think that is, and how soon do you think
the technology is there for robots. We just need to translate that to use for people.
Incredible.
Yeah. What would I say to myself if I can go back and meet my, like in a time machine? Keep up the good work. So I mean, when you grow up, as an adult, you look back and sometimes you have regrets. Maybe I should do this and should have done that. Of course, I have those kind of things, small incidents, but in majority, I think I did pretty well. I really thank my parents. They guide me in the right direction. They give us the freedom to explore what we want to do. So I really appreciate those kind of things. But if I could go back and restart my life again, I'd probably take the same path. I'm very, very happy where I am, and I'm very excited where I'm going in the future.
Dennis, one of the things that I think is pretty amazing about the work that you do is that it's not just your passion, right? You have to have the smarts behind it. Can you give us your personal philosophy about how to be successful in whatever you do?
Sure. So there's many things. What I want to tell the students is that just because you have passion and creativity, you can't, to really reach, you only can do so much, right? To really attack and solve the grand challenges of robotics, you have to go beyond the hobbyist robotics. And to do that, you need to have the tools. So I talked about this in one of my very well-received TED Talks. So I always compare to Batman. So Batman fighting against the bad guys. You know this utility belt? They have the grappling hook and the flash, all this gadgets kind of things. So the more tools Batman has, the more effective he can be against fighting with the bad guys. For us roboticists, we also need to have this tool belt.
Right.
Those tools are the courses, classes you take in school.
And doing well in them.
And doing well in them. Linear algebra, I got differential equations, all these things. So the more classes, courses you take and do well, and you're good at using the tool, the more effective you can attack the big grand challenge of robotics. So school is important, you know, so stay in school.
You know, you're often quoted as saying that the fundamentals are very, very important and your students should be really diligent in their studies. What do you think are the fundamentals for any student who wants to get into robotics?
Of course, passion. You really need to really love and love the thing that you want to do. So if you want to be a roboticist, you really need to follow your passion. Well, that's true for most every job as well. For roboticists, as I mentioned, you really need to know the fundamental tools and the language to do robotics. The language for science is math, and the tools to do robotics is science. So you need to do really good in science and math and those kind of courses. You need to work hard, but before working hard, you have to work smart, then work hard.
Okay.
A lot of people just work hard. They don't know where they're going. They just do it. And then it turns out that it's a cliff, and then all time and energy wasted. So before you work hard, you need to know which direction to go. And actually, partially that's my job to guide them as an advisor to do that. So.
You also emphasize that not only should people focus on that work, but they need to see how the work impacts society, right? Can you comment on that?
Sure. So it's very, very crucial. So this is actually a relatively new thing that in the past 5 years that I started to think. We developed technology, but we are responsible to really think about the impact our work will have on society. The blind driver challenge, the Raphael hand for prosthetic applications, search and rescue missions, firefighting robots to save people's life. All of these are good things. But the thing is, as roboticists, this Sapphire firefighting robot, it's going to handle these fire hose and it's going to point at the fire. It needs to throw these fire suppressant canisters. Who can stop it having, instead of a fire hose, have a gun and aim to a person? Or instead of a canister, throw a grenade, right?
So there's the potential to use this technology that's for good to harm people.
Yes. So I mean,
military purposes.
Military, not necessarily harm, right? So. So it's I'm not naive. I do understand we do need to have defense military robots. I do a lot of projects in military, but it's just my personal philosophy that I'm not going to, I don't do weaponized robots. That's just my personal philosophy. But again, I cannot stop. Once the technology, the robots leaves our lab, it's a firefighting robot. I cannot stop of it being used for other purposes. I mean, Einstein's theory of relativity, led to the nuclear, bombs and weapons and those kind of things today. So I struggle a lot. But so my conclusion is that robots are still tools. It's tools for humans beings to use. So whether it's going to be used for the good or bad, it's not about the robotics technology. It's about people. It's about the human. And I truly believe the good nature of human and ethics is important. So I try to teach that at school as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's been such a pleasure to work with you today and do this interview. It's been one of the most fun for me because I personally love technology. And I'd like to end our interview with a little bit of a celebration.
Okay.
By doing the robot dance.
You really want to do it?
I really want to do the robot dance.
I'm going to regret this. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
And so let's sign off with the robot dance.
C-3PO? Doing
Goodbye.
the robot? Yeah.
Goodbye.